Happy New Year, everyone! I hope you all had a great holiday and that you're all safe and healthy and ready for the new year. This Friday, I'll be resuming my Toy Box tutorial series, and the first thing I'll be doing is finishing up the tutorials for the remaining racing toys. But before I can do that, I need a new toy box in which to work. Because unfortunately, there just isn't enough free memory in my Arendelle Speedway toy box to build something with the remaining toys. So Anna and Elsa are going to help me build a new toy box this week in preparation for the next series of tutorials. And I'm calling this toy box the Arendelle Speedway. And in case you're wondering, next week I'll get back to my Age of Ultron series on Mondays and Wednesdays. But the first thing I'm going to be showing you how to build this Friday in my Toy Box tutorial series is how to build a path-based race. And in case you missed the video that I did a couple of weeks ago for the Snow Challenge, let me show you what this race looks like. What I want you to notice while I'm racing, and get up here onto the start pad, what I want you to notice while I'm racing is that I'm not using any racetrack pieces at all. I'm racing directly on the terrain for the entire race. There are no racetrack pieces hidden beneath the terrain. I'm not using any tricks like I showed you in my Toy Box Racing series. What you see is what I've got. So here we go. As you can see from the skid marks there, I've already raced this a couple of times. It's a fun little race. Let's see, looks like I'm in second place. All I've got in front of me is Mater. Let's see if we can catch him. There we go, now I can use my turbo. You gotta watch out for that slope there, because that can kind of throw you off your path a little bit. There we go, final lap. Oh man, he turboed past me. And away from me. Alright, Mater, you want a race? I'll give you a race. Here we go. Oh man, it's gonna be close. Whoa. Woohoo, I won! Awesome. So now that you've seen this race, let's start building it. And I've got some tips I'm going to share with you during the build exercise. So if you think you might want to build a path-based race someday, you might want to stick around for the whole video. Alright, I'm starting in an empty toy box. And all I've done so far is place my frozen power discs on the Disney Infinity base to set the sky and unlock the frozen terrain texture and plant customizations. And I've also got a boombox that I've placed over here to turn off the music. And I know I can just turn off the music in the settings, but I don't like to keep going back and forth to the settings to do that, because there's toy boxes and play sets that I play through when I'm not doing videos. So it's a lot easier for me to just add the boombox to the toy boxes that I'm building. Now, one of the key things about building a path-based race is that without racetrack pieces, the player isn't going to know where to go because they can't just follow the road. So you, as the toy box builder, have to build your toy box in such a way that it's obvious to the player where to go during the race. That means you have to place terrain and objects along the side of the road to close it in to help the players see where it is you want them to go. And I'm going to start with the terrain. My goal today is to frame in the terrain for the toy box, and then next time Elsa will help me fill in the rest of the details by adding trees and buildings and stuff. So I'm going to begin with this piece over here, and I'm going to add this in on the toy box. And let's see, I think I'd like to put this over here just because I like the ice castle over that way, but it doesn't really matter. All right, and then we're going to come over here and place this one on the edge of this about halfway up. So that's where we want that to go. And I'm going to set the terrain style on this to be Echo Base from the Rise Against the Empire playset. I'll set that to be my theme. Okay, and we've still got the ice castle over there. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and make this 4 across. So this is the first one. The second one is going to go here. Third one will go here. And the last one will go over this way. All right. And that little sunken area, I'm going to be building some additional races in this toy box besides the path-based race. So this is for one of those, but I'll get to that in a future episode. All right, so we're going to go 2 more out this way, 2 more this way. Just make sure I do this right. Yeah. All right, and then we're going to come over here on the end of this piece, put this in right here. Put one in right there. And this last one, I'm going to set the terrain style to be Frozen Flourish. And I'm just going to apply that. I'm not going to set that to be the theme. All right, so then over here, I'm going to put a couple of these in here to kind of plug this gap. So like that, and like that. And then another one over here on that corner with this long one right there. Okay. So that's it for the main level. Now, because this will be a path-based race, you need to be careful not to make your racetrack too large. The longer the path, the more lag you'll create in the editor, and if you make it too large, you may even crash your system. So if you're going to create your race using a path, you need to keep your racetrack fairly small. It doesn't have to be too small, but it can't be as large as any of the tracks that I built in my Toy Box Racing series. The size of this track will be just a little larger than the size of my Briar Ridge Speedway track. That's a pretty good size. Okay, now I'm going to build my race in the form of a figure 8, and that means I'm going to need to create a bridge, and it also means the terrain will have to go up and down. There's nothing more boring than a flat racetrack. It's so much more fun to race up and down hills and through tunnels, and since we're not limited to the racetrack pieces when we're using the path-based race, we have the freedom to do whatever we want, and we should take advantage of that. So that's one of the reasons why you would do a path-based race instead of using racetracks. So we're going to start over here with this piece. We're going to start building an upper area. This will be the bridge that kind of forms the top of the figure 8. And I'm going to place this temporarily right here. You'll notice it's right on the edge of the terrain piece on the left. And I'm trying to get this on the halfway point, so it's straddling that terrain seam below. And the way I can guarantee that is come over here and grab this cliff piece. We're going to put this right here, and yes, that lines up on the left edge with the terrain seam and with the terrain block that I just placed on the right, so that's perfect. So that tells me where I need to place this. And now we'll go ahead and fill in the upper area. So this piece is going to go back here. We're going to place another one there. Another one back over here. All right. And then we're going to grab this thin piece. We're going to place this right up here. This will be the bridge that goes over top of this little area down below. There we go. And we'll place that one there and another one. And then another one over here, like that. And then on this end, we're going to do 1, 2, 3. And the fourth one will sit down here like that. All right. So that is the basic shape of my toy box. And now we can start filling in some details. So the first thing I want to do is put in the terrain ramps that get us up here. And you'll find those to the right. There's this small one, but there's also a longer one. I believe. Oops, not that far. Not that one. Maybe it's that one. There it is. That's the one I'm looking for. That's what we want. We'll pick that piece up and put it down, and I'm going to put one under here just to plug the gap. Like that. Alright, so there is the little tunnel and the ramp getting up to this upper area. Now, because this is a path-based race, the ground does not have to be continuous. You can do a lot of the same things that I showed you how to do in my Toy Box Racing series. You can jump over gaps, you can drive off of cliffs, you can use fans and super cannons and all those same kinds of fun toys. So that's why I have this cliff over here. We're just going to have the player drive off the cliff. So I'm not going to put any kind of a slope over here, although I could, but I'm not going to. I'm going to drive off the cliff to show you that's possible. But you could place pieces like this on the other end to get the player back down to ground level. It's entirely up to you. Alright, so we've placed that. Let's go ahead and let's put in the slope over here before I forget that. Because we are going to want to slope down to the water here, and that's what I'm using this texture for down here, is for the frozen water. So once again, we'll come back to the right. And we'll use this large piece here. This will sit in there like that. And once again, let's go ahead and change the style to be Echo Base. Then we're just going to put a row of these right along the edge, all the way down. All right, and then we'll come back over here and let's fill in the cliff area next. So we'll select this piece, and I'm going to go ahead and change the theme back to Frozen Flourish. And let me find my screen grab here for this area. All right. Now let's pick this piece up, and I'm going to move this over here. And I'm going to alternate between these two kinds of cliffs, just so this isn't looking quite so repetitive. It's really the only purpose in doing this. Put this one over here, and once again we'll alternate. Now this side isn't going to matter. The player's never going to see this side when they're racing. So we'll go ahead and just run a row of those on down. Put in the cliff corner here. And I really like these pieces because this breaks up the cliff so it doesn't look so repetitive. And it doesn't look so square. There's nothing worse than a very blocky set of terrain. Oops, and actually I need to take that out. And we're going to replace this with this corner. Like that. Alright, yeah, that'll be the end of that one. Okay, so then we'll pick this piece up and put it down. Use the next size smaller. Place that there, like that. Alright, so there's our cliff. And that's looking pretty nice. Alright, for this area, let's go ahead and save ourselves a little scrolling by picking that piece up and putting it down. We're going to go to the left. We're going to get to this cave wall, and I'm going to use this to build a little cave entrance here. And again, set so the walls are not quite so square. And then the front of that is looking pretty square, but we can use these pieces to kind of fix that. So we can do like that. And if we want, we can actually even slide these pieces out a little bit, and I think I might go ahead and do that, because I don't really like that gap that's there. So we'll pull all of these out just a little bit to line that up with the front of that cliff. I don't have to line this all up perfectly. All of the terrain blocks don't have to be lined up perfectly. Alright, there we go. That looks pretty good. Alright, so as part of our figure 8, the next step is we want the player to drive around this way and around this direction and over that bridge. So what we can do is we can use the canyon pieces to help us out with that. So if we scroll back over to the right, we have these canyon curves. We can use the large curves or the shorter ones. I'm going to place this back over here. And I'm using these to help frame in the road. One of the things that you want to keep in mind when you're building a path-based race is you can't make the turns too tight, or there'd be really no way to drive the course and get around those turns without getting super frustrated. And that's no fun for you or the players who will be playing on your course. And so we use these to kind of help. If you remember from my Toy Box Racing series, these canyon curves fit the racetrack curves perfectly. So you can use these canyon curves as a guide. And even if you don't want to use these pieces in your world, you can place one temporarily as a guide to help you space out your track and then remove it when you're done. And actually, I'm actually going to use this as part of my world, so we're going to go ahead and add these in and leave them here. Alternatively, you can use the curved barriers in the racetrack pieces drawer. Those would help you do that too. Yeah. Okay, so there's that on that side. We're going to put one over on this side. And I'll use this little small curve right there like that. And so the idea is the player comes up this ramp, and when they get up here, that wall kind of tells them they got to go this way. And we're going to put in some additional canyon curves to help them know that. So let's pick this piece up and put it down, and we'll grab this larger curve here. We'll put that right there like that. That just reinforces the fact that you need to go this way. All right, in this middle section, we'll go ahead and add another set of curves there just to kind of help us, help the player know where to go. So I'm going to place this piece here like that as kind of a spacer just to kind of help us with the placement on these things. Oops, and we're going to place this first one little nudge to the right like that. All right. And if I were using the racetrack pieces, I wouldn't have to put that little spacer in there because I could just tie this right to the edge of the racetrack. But since I'm not using racetrack, that just kind of helps me get the spacing that I want. So now we come up, and it's very clear when we reach the top of the slope where it is we have to go. So we're going to be coming around this way, we're going to be coming around this way, and then going out this direction. So that's how you can use the canyon curves to kind of help guide the players where you want them to go. And I think it's a really good trick. Like I said, those are designed for those racetrack pieces. And so that really helps you to get the right radius on the curve that you know the player can drive or drift around that without too much difficulty. And then we're going to use some other things down on this end next time to help guide the player to that bridge. All right, let's see, what else we're going to do? Oh, we got to come down here and finish this little area. So let's go ahead and change our theme back to this Echo Base theme. And I will pick this piece up and put it back down to get back to that part of the drawer. And I'm going to build kind of a little ramp here to get down to this lower area. The rest of it I need to fill in with these pieces. And then that's the smaller ramp. That's the ramp we want. So that's how they'll get down into that little arena. All right. Well, I think that's a good stopping point for today. When I return on Wednesday, Elsa and I will finish the build exercise for this toy box, and then on Friday I'll be joined by Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey, and we'll show you how to create the race itself. Before you leave, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done that, so you don't miss my next video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.